The serial killer was born in a bookshop, not a police file. Long before profilers and crime shows, 19th century writers taught readers to enjoy, interrogate, and fear the figure who kills again and again. That mix, glamour, intellect, dread, comes straight out of Romantic and Victorian storytelling. He imagines a London club, the Society of Connoisseurs in Murder, who discuss fresh atrocities the way critics evaluate paintings. He shrugs. Everything in this world has two handles, meaning a murder can be gripped by morality or by aesthetics. Then he flips to taste. Enough has been given to morality. Now comes the turn of taste and the fine arts. He even confesses the 1811 Ratcliffe highway murders set a standard so high that all other murders look pale. That's not a joke at crime's expense. It's a blueprint for readers who want to feel the thrill and call it criticism. De Quincey opens the door to the killer as an aesthetic object, a perverse anti-artist. The String of Pearls introduces Sweeney Todd, the Fleet Street barber who drops customers through a trapdoor and turns them into pies. That's a serial killer, clear as day. Repeated murders, a method, a cover business, a city that swallows evidence. Moralists blame the penny bloods for corrupting minds, which only sells more copies. And it wasn't only Todd. Varney the Vampire runs for hundreds of chapters, evolving the seductive aristocratic predator who feeds and flees and feeds again. Repetition is the point. The killer returns next week, so will the reader. But the century also teaches us to hunt. Enter Edgar Allan Poe. In 1841, The Murders in the Rue Morgue debuts C. Auguste Dupin, the analytical sleuth who solves a locked-room double murder with logic and observation. Poe called these tales of ratiocination. Murder becomes a problem to be solved, not just a spectacle to dread. He follows with The Mystery of Marie Roget, a cool dissection of a real New York case, and elsewhere gives us the murderer's voice in stories like The Telltale Heart. 2. It shifts excitement toward the psyche, motive, method, compulsion. Put that together with De Quincey's aesthetic taste and the penny dreadfuls drumbeat, and you've got a culture primed for the recurring murderer as both puzzle and performance. Quick detour through sensation fiction. Wilkie Collins's The Woman in White and The Moonstone aren't serial killer tales, but they turbocharge the public's taste for crime, secrecy, and clever detection in recognizably modern settings. That taste matters. It means the audience is ready when real horror steps into the news. Whitechapel, 1888. 5 murders in 3 months. Jack the Ripper isn't the first serial murderer in history, but he's the first to become a global media phenomenon. Newspapers churn out over 1 million copies a day during the panic. Reporters instantly reach for fiction to explain reality. One evening paper warns that London harbors a human monster even more terrible than Hyde. Another simply declares the murderer is a Mr. Hyde. The line between Stevenson's novella and the alleyway vanishes. Hyde's lesson, evil can look ordinary, respectable, now reads like a headline. Writers pounce. During and just after the killings, you get John Francis Brewer's The Curse Upon Mitre Square and Margaret Harkness's In Darkest London, grafting the crimes onto Gothic London. In the new century, Marie Belloc-Lowndes' The Lodger turns the Ripper legend into a taut psychological thriller about suspicion and the stranger under your roof. The stage and film adaptations never stop. The figure mutates in popular art too. Top hat and cloak, sometimes practically Dracula's cape. Punch draws the nemesis of neglect, a phantom haunting the slums while the city looks away. By the mid-20th century, the image hardens into a predatory gentleman. Fiction and reportage built that silhouette together. Let's pull the threads. The Gothic tradition gives the killer glamour and a mask. Aristocrat, doctor, scholar, collector of experiences. De Quincey licenses the aesthetic thrill, murder as something to savor and rank. Penny dreadfuls teach repetition and escalation. Poe hands us the mental toolkit to spot patterns and motives. Then Jack the Ripper welds it all to reality and gives the press a brand new monster to serialize in real time. That's the birth of the literary serial killer. Charismatic, hidden in plain sight, half spectacle, half riddle. One more thought before we close. The term serial killer comes much later in the 20th century, but the archetype is already fully dressed by 1890. Charming face, private compulsion, public invisibility. No wonder later villains, from Hannibal Lecter to those glossy prestige TV murderers, feel Victorian at heart. They are. So tell me, which ancestor nails the type for you? Hyde's double life, Dorian's beautiful rot, Dracula's charm, Sweeney Todd's machine-like method, or the faceless chill of the Ripper myth? Drop your pick and your reason in the comments. If you enjoyed this dive into the shadows, join us for more by subscribing to the 19th Shelf. Until next time, keep your candles lit and your prefaces loaded.